Yeah, welcome back to the Slurve. PGA analyzing the field. Finally, U.S. Open week. And hopefully everyone had a good FedEx St. Jude. We won't hit on it too much, but I had a pretty good week with Daniel Berger. I don't know about you guys, but
well, we only had 100% Berger on 60 lineups, so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you listen to us last Tuesday, I think you probably did all right for yourselves. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much the same way. I had 100% Berger, so we were on the same page last week and it paid off. That's nice, but that's that, and now we're on to the U.S. Open. So let's start. Where should we start? I mean, there's a bunch of news going around, obviously 24/7 until the tournament starts. I don't really think weather-wise anything crazy is going to happen. I know people are getting up in arms about maybe the rain's going to cause the course to get too soft or something. I don't think the rain's going to slow down the greens much. Saturday and Sunday they're going to firm up anyways. Expect the greens to be super fast. Expect Oakmont to play hard. So, by all means, this is going to be a pretty wicked event.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I'm throwing it out there at 4 over wins it.
Yeah, I would even say that's probably like optimistic. I would say that's probably like I would take the under. I would take like +5.
Yeah, my initial gut was 7 over, but I figured if I was going to make a play, at least it kind of gave me a little more range. So 4 is my conservative call in terms of like at least touching both ends of.
Yeah, no, I actually think that's a pretty legit number. I mean, it's gonna be cool, but yeah, let's start it off for daily fantasy purposes. We'll touch on like guys we think are good Millie Maker plays. We'll talk a little bit about cash game plays, and we'll start off at the top, I guess. Hey, Steve. I mean, Jason Day, Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth. I mean, you can throw Dustin Johnson in there, but pretty clear top 3 players. What are your thoughts on these 3?
Well, I mean, on our guide, it's Jason Day. It's Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy as our top 3. They make up the only 3 people in our first class. I mean, I mentioned something earlier on Twitter. Jason Day, he's if you take our key stats and then you add those 3 ancillary strokes gained stats, so for 9 total, he's in the top 30 in the field over the last 12 weeks in 8 out of 9 of them, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, some weeks you don't get people that are 4 out of 6, 3 out of 6. So the fact that he's just in that zone. I mean, the only one he is missing, and I kind of had this interesting conversation earlier, is driving accuracy. I mean, relative to the field, I think he's missing 7.1% more fairways in the fields around him, and I don't know if it concerns me or not. I mean, I think you're kind of picking at straws there, just trying to like find something wrong with him. I mean, the guy knows how to get it done at places that maybe don't even fit him. Obviously, he got done at Players, so the pricing suggests that it's equal between Day, McIlroy, and Spieth. I don't see it that way. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're on the same page. I was kind of surprised Jason Day was on par with McIlroy and Spieth. I don't know why that is, but I think he can take advantage of it by going overweight on Jason Day this week. And as far as the accuracy goes, the first thing I saw with Jason Day's media day today is he said he's going to hit 4 driver on like maximum 4 or 5 holes. So he's going to be hitting 2-iron a ton, and he hits his 2-iron like 280. So I like the driving accuracy stats. Obviously, that takes in the whole year. Courses where he'll pull driver on over half the holes. He's not going to do that this week. Yeah. So the accuracy, I don't even think is going to be an issue with Day.
No, I would agree. I don't think there's too much to be concerned about. I don't know that. I do have a little concern, rostering him or any of those guys in cash because, the more I think about it this week, I think the less you have skill in picking those low-end guys. I mean, if you have anyone, even better players that are just a little rusty right now, like you need to be on your game. I think I'm going to be finding myself in a much more balanced cash lineup. I mean, I really like Kuchar. He's a guy that I'm probably going to focus around a lot of the cash. I mean, I like Schwartzel. Finished 30th here back in 07. He's been obviously playing really well this year in terms of ball striking. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that is going to get it done in terms of winning and the putting, but I just know that I'm really going to be weighing ball striking, strokes gained off the tee extremely heavy because that's just that's just the area where if you're in the rough, and you've seen some of these videos, some of the social media these guys have been putting out there, it's impossible out of this rough. I mean, get to the green and then have it be a nightmare. But at least if you get to the green and you three putt, you're making a bogey. I mean, you could get to the green in 4 shots with the way some of this rough is, and then have to deal with putting. So I mean, the ball striking is just this huge thing.
Yeah, 100%. I think greens in regulation is huge this week. Angel Cabrera was first in greens in regulation in 2007. So
yep.
Exactly, I think that's how you have to beat this course. I mean, you get it on the green and then you just deal as best you can, right? Like, so yeah. Anyways, I mean, I think that makes sense for cash games too. Like, I even think that for tournaments, going balanced might be actually the better play. I know I've heard a lot of people saying you like stars and scrubs as the play this week because it's the scores are going to be so bad. I take a different approach. I mean, I think that some of these guys, I just don't know about the legitimacy of people under 6K getting a top 20 finish this week.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather go balanced, and I know you're going to need the winner, and that might mean fading like some of the top players, but I think the more balanced you go, the more likelihood you're going to get like 4 guys in the top 10, which is really what you need because the bonus points just are not going to be a factor this week. So, anyways, that's just my thoughts. So
yeah, I mean, we went over last week. I kind of teased out some of the DraftKings points. I mean, the winning 30 winning points went to Angel Cabrera. I think he had 80.5 when he won. So it matters for those top couple guys. But you're not going to have birdie streaks. You're not going to have bogey-free rounds. You're not going to have all 4 rounds under 70. So it's really just hole points, and that's one of the things we've really focused on a lot. But I think the average score for anyone making the cut at Oakmont last time was like 38 points, and it's like 43 in the last 10 U.S. Opens. So I mean, it's make par. That's why it's the first week all year in our 6 key stats that we are not using birdie or better as a key stat. We're actually using bogey or worse.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty funny though. So what are your thoughts on the other guys? I mean, let's talk about GBPs for a sec. I mean, I don't know about the ownership percentage of these top guys. I think Jason Day will be the highest owned of the top 3. I feel like Dustin Johnson will be popular, but I don't know how popular because, I mean, Jordan Spieth is still going to get ownership. He's still probably going to be over 20%. I mean, I just think that people are going to go on him, and I think he'll be at least 20%. If he's less than that, then I think he becomes an interesting play. I don't necessarily like Spieth for this course, but we're talking complete tournament strategy. There's a point where he becomes a really good play. So, what are your thoughts on those ownerships for those guys?
I mean, the best thing that happened for Jason Day supporters today was the whole broken driver thing. I could not care less. I don't know if other people are going to be swayed. I can't imagine it's going to add ownership, so I don't know how it's going to affect it. But I mean, I'm fine with it. Listen, Spieth. Listen, I like Spieth. I like him to putt. I like him to get up and down. But if you've seen the events where he has played well this year, is not where driving accuracy is a premium, and this is a place where it is a premium. I don't think he has I don't think he's not going to contend because of it, but I don't see him being the guy that kind of walks away with the trophy again this year. I mean, it's tough out there for a guy that kind of is not that confident in his ball striking.
Yeah, it's not only that he can't club down like Jason Day can on a lot of those holes. So, and if he does, he's going to have longer approaches, which then brings in misses. And if you're missing the green here in the rough, I mean, it's just as bad as missing a fairway in the rough. So, yeah, I'm all over that. That's kind of my thinking with Spieth too. I'd love to have Jordan Spieth on the green every day, but I don't think he's going to hit enough greens in regulation, which, as we already mentioned, is a big factor. So, Rory's kind of interesting. I worry about Rory getting it done on the greens here. Rory's won on soft courses. It's not to say he can't win this week, but again, the same price, I'm just going to take Jason Day. So for tournaments, you can think about it.
In terms of betting, who would you take, Spieth or McIlroy?
I would take Rory for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we're definitely on the same page there.
Yeah.
So you know, like I said, in terms of ownership, if we're kind of still going on that, I mean, yeah, I think you're going to see a pretty solid spread anywhere from like 18 to upper 20s across those top four guys, if you're including DJ in there. You know, I mean, DJ's still getting a ton of hype. Everyone still loves him. I think that they're giving him a lot of chances for redemption from last year, and I can't blame them. I mean, his numbers are off the charts as well. It's not a scenario where it's not like I think people are just going based on name. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering for a guy that hasn't won his. It'll be 9 in a row to keep the active streak alive for years with a win.
Yeah, something like that. I think it is 9 in a row. Yeah.
But I mean, there are a good handful of guys in that, if you want to call them second tier. I mean, even though obviously in this type of field they are some of the top players in the world, that are interesting. I think some I don't have any interest in. I mean, maybe it might be to burn me, but Fowler is not a guy that I'm interested in. His form has just not been good enough to show me he can get it done here. I mean, that might help in terms of ownership, and he's a guy that I've been wanting to root for, and the numbers did look good stat-wise, but the overall form is kind of questioning. What do you think on Fowler?
I'm in on Ricky this week, man, for GPPs. For my Millie Maker lineups and stuff like that, I am going to be in on Ricky. I just look down the list, and I think about the course and the fit, and this course is so challenging in so many different areas, and I just think it's a good fit for Ricky. I really do, and I know like the form isn't there, but there's just a few players where I don't care about form, and Ricky Fowler is one of them. Like, he's got the right coach. He's got the right coach to prep him for majors. Like, Butch Harmon is great at prepping guys for majors. So, I don't know. I think for GPPs, man, like I just can't. Maybe I just can't resist Ricky Fowler at a major, and he sucked for me. So I should probably get off him. But like if he's going to be 10% or less, like I am all over it.
If he's under 10%, then listen, I can buy into this. I'm not anti-Ricky. I'm not calling a Ricky.
And that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it.
Again, the GPP thing is, I'm not going to have a single Ricky in a cash lineup, but I will probably have Ricky in, maybe let's say I have 20 Millie Makers registered. I might have him in 2 of them. He's not going to be part of my core high-end guys, but I'll probably have him in 1 or 2 because the ownership will be there. But I can get behind that concept because you're right. He doesn't need the form, but I think you might even get bolstered because a lot of the players that are going to be coming out this week to play, I mean DFS guys, they're only interested in the Millie Maker. So all they're going to remember from the last time they played in the Millie Maker was, oh wow, Ricky Fowler burned me at the Masters. So you might even get a benefit there.
Yeah. So, and I mean, again, I watched his media day today. He's game is fine. Like tee to green, he's fine. He's pretty candid about it. He just said his putter has been frustrating. He let it leak over to other parts of his game. So
yeah,
if he gets the putter going, I mean, again, that could be it. So he's an interesting play for me. I just look at the upside with him. I really think he's a guy. We saw him take down so many elite fields like last year. Like he beat those guys in Europe earlier. He obviously won the Players. I just love the upside for tournaments. So, and again, like you look at Jason Day and Adam Scott, or Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Hideki Matsuyama. Those guys are all solid players too. I just feel like Fowler's got more of winning upside at this tournament. Maybe that's just me projecting my Fowler bias, but Justin Rose coming off the injury has not putted well at all this year. He's changed grips. I don't really want. I can't see him putting well enough to win. Adam Scott is a bit of a mystery.
Real mystery.
Yeah, just because he hasn't played that much. I mean, tee to green, I expect he'll be fine. Again, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to putt well enough this week. And then Matsuyama, I don't know. I don't know about Hideki. Kind of interesting that he missed his last cut, but again, I just feel like Fowler's upside might be better than those guys. So I like them for tournaments, but is there anyone out of those guys I just threw out there that is big for you guys?
You didn't mention, again, I mentioned Kuchar earlier. I like a lot of him. I mean, I can key in on a couple things here. I mean, if you look at Matsuyama, his big issue that kind of concerns me this week is he is, let's see, of how many people here? Of the, 138 people that I have strokes gained around the green data for, he is 125th in the field of 138. So he's getting it done in all other aspects of striking the ball, but his around the green, and he's bottom of the barrel. I think that's one of the biggest concerns you're going to have.
And that was with Hideki?
Matsuyama. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of makes sense. And on these greens, you know, obviously he is kind of a greens and regulation monster, but at the same time, you like to see him be able to get up and down, you know, when needed. So I feel like Matsuyama, again, I just don't feel like he's going to win on this course, but yeah, he could be a solid play. And he's only 9,800, so you're getting into that zone where maybe you don't need him to win necessarily. So.
And with Rory, I mean, there's a lot to like about the game in terms of the R data numbers. The place he's struggling is, it's actually not so much like the putting and around the green, but for him it's approach. I mean, his approach numbers. I mean, his overall strokes gained tee to green, he's basically middle of the field. You know, he's 56 out of 138 that have data over the last 12 weeks, but he's second in strokes gained off the tee over that time frame, first in the field, second on tour. He's 158th on tour, which puts him, you know, like 90th in the field in the approach. So I mean, I don't know if the approach matters as much this week because, you know, it's not so much about gaining strokes because you're closer than other people, because that's certainly how the strokes are calculated in that formula. I mean, it's based on how close you're putting yourself and how much you're gaining. This is more about that off the tee. He's literally strokes gained off the tee first in the field. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
And that's big this week. I mean, because I agree with you. I think strokes gained off the tee is big here. And the only, again, I do like McIlroy, like for GPPs. So if you're looking to fade day or go another way, starting a lineup with Rory isn't a bad idea. I just worry about those misses because, like, with his wedge and like those short irons, he's gonna bring double bogey into play at some point when he makes those misses here. So I just don't know I don't know in the long run if he can make enough pars, I guess, to win. But I mean, he's obviously talented enough that maybe
I might need to look at the strokes gained approach from different distances because, you know, there are a handful of holes this week where, you know, it's only like 350, 370.
That's true.
You know, if he's going to be, I mean, it kind of helps your Ricky concept because he's so good with the wedges. But, you know, that's the only concern I might have with Rory is if he can't take advantage on those holes, then, you know, he's never going to give you a shot.
Yeah, exactly. So. But that's an interesting point about the setup of this course too, because those short par fours and stuff, and those longer par threes even, they might play more into McIlroy's hand than I realized. So, like I said, obviously Jason Day to us I think is both the clear choice, but I do like going Rory if you're going to make GPPs with like another choice. So that's interesting. So obviously to the people who are listening, like if you got questions on a specific player, throw it out because you know, we're not going to go through like every 156 guys, but we'll touch on a lot of them. But
yeah, and I'm trying to go back and forth. I'm just getting some stuff set up on my end, but
yeah, for sure.
I'm just double checking the chat here. I mean, do you want to jump into some kind of mid-level guys that maybe have piqued your interest and you know, you're thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, once we get kind of down to the mid 9K range, I think Bubba Watson is really interesting for GPPs this week. I just like his upside just as much as people who I think are going to be more popular, like Brandon Grace and Phil Mickelson. So. You know, if you're looking for like a 5%, maybe 10% max guy, I think Bubba Watson is interesting. I think, again, he's a guy who could benefit from some of those shorter holes, who's going to be able to take like 7-wood or 2-iron or whatever he's hitting this week and just hit fairways. And, you know, people worry about Bubba getting frustrated, but he was 6th here back in 2007. I mean, this is a course he's done okay at. So, I don't know. I think just upside-wise for tournaments, I would much rather go with Bubba Watson than Phil Mickelson this week.
I definitely would agree with that, Steve. And I'm just going to bring this up because it was something I don't know if you saw on Twitter. I put up that poll earlier today about what are you guys going to consider fast greens, and I can run a report. Then I realized we didn't have the full field in our model, so it took some time to do some work. But I actually have that in front of me, so it's something I'll sprinkle in. But I actually have the putting stats career-wise for just 12.5 stint meter and above, so we can get into that a little here and there. But back to what you were saying in terms of those mid-level guys. Where are you at on Brendan Grace?
I think he's getting a little bit overhyped. I really like Brandon Grace. I think people are just maybe overestimating. Maybe I don't want to say his skill level, but maybe I do want to say his skill level. I mean, the guy can hit it big off the tee, but he's not super accurate. He can get a little wild. I don't know. I just feel like these greens I'd rather have someone who hits a little bit more greens in regulation. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to have any Brandon Grace because I'm all in on Sergio Garcia this week. I think he's a way stronger play on this course. I don't care that Brandon Grace is probably a better putter in the long run, and maybe he's more clutch. Sergio Garcia's first in greens in regulation on tour this year. He's like 13th in strokes gained off the tee or something. And the other thing I like about Sergio is that he's admitted he hasn't peaked yet. Like in his mind, he hasn't peaked. Even after that win at the Byron Nelson, he's still discussing like his game is in great form. Some people might see that as a negative. I think it's actually a positive. So I really like Sergio Garcia. I don't hate Brandon Grace, but I'd much rather take Sergio because I feel like he's probably going to be less around, and I think he's a better player. So
yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm a little concerned that Brandon Grace has gotten the hype. I mean, when I went on Mayo and talked about him, he loved him. All of our numbers supported him. What I will say is I like Sergio, so this isn't a Brandon versus Sergio, but yeah. I'm gonna defend Brandon a little bit because in the last 4 starts, which is within that 12-week frame that we're looking, he's first in the field in strokes gained tee to green, second on tour, 20th off the tee, 25th around the green, 42nd strokes gained putting. So, I mean, his worst stat is he's 66th on tour in approach, which puts him 35th in the field. So, I got to defend Brandon in terms of the skill level that he's played. It's a 4-start sample size, so it's not terrible. But he's also scrambling 13.2% more than the fields he's played against. That's only second behind Danny Willett.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy has the game. Like he's got he's got the mentality. He's definitely got the skill level around the greens and stuff like that. I worry about that one thing you said about approaches, though. I mean, and I think that's what's going to might get him into trouble this week. If he's just a little bit off on those approaches, I mean, that's going to be way more penal here. That's going to be like 2 or 3 strokes instead of 1 or something like that. So, again, I'd rather go with Sergio because he's so good at greens and regulation. But, again, you're picking hairs. They're both really good players. So, if you like Brandon Grace, and, again, there's lots of reasons to like him, I don't think he's a bad play. I'm just going Garcia this week. I mean, I think the ownership is going to be better for tournaments anyways. And I just like Sergio's mentality this week. What about Stenson? I mean, is this, like, should we just all be in on Stenson? Is this not like a guaranteed top 10 here or something?
My concern is, in my mind, and maybe this is because I'm so immersed in it, he's the chalk play. I mean,
but he won't be chalk. He will not be chalk. He will not be high owned.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. In my mind, all I'm looking at is how are people performing off the tee, ball striking, and if you look at all those numbers, I mean, he tops the charts in most of them. So I don't know if people are as methodical as I am, but I generally feel like, everyone's talking about driving accuracy so much this week, as are we, that when you look at those numbers, I mean, that's that's where he's at. I mean, if you look at driving accuracy, he's second. He's second in the field, only behind Justin Hicks. In driving accuracy RDID. He's hitting 11.7 more fairways than the field he's played against. He's ranked 10th on tour at that number, so it's not like it's a surprise. I mean, he's only Hicks. I mean, Hicks, oddly enough, over 7 starts, which is a pretty solid sample size. is hitting 15.6% more fairways in the fields he's played against, which is pretty phenomenal. I don't know if it's going to do much elsewhere, but Hicks' problem is he's last in the field in strokes gained around the green. Everything else is doing pretty well. Oh yeah, and he can't putt. That might hurt. But he's just one of those guys that kind of just, I just mentioned because he's in the numbers. But Stenson, yeah. I mean, what's wrong with Stenson?
Exactly. I mean, he's going to hit that 3-wood on like every hole, and he's going to hit the fairway on every hole, and he's probably going to hit the green most of the time.
And that's not new. That's not new for Stenson.
And that's really good this week because even if he 3-putts half the time, he's still going to make the cut and be like +10 for the week, and that +10 is going to be like T12 or something, right? Or T10.
I mean, the top 30 was like 17 over.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Henrik Stenson might be the play of the week. I feel like he's going to be like 8% owned. No one's talking about him because he hasn't done anything in the States for a while. He actually had a really good tournament in Sweden. 4 solid rounds, ended with a 66, T4 at the Nordea Masters. And like I don't know, I'm going to be overweight on Henrik Stenson this week. You don't need him to win. I think he's got a great shot at a top 10. So those are the two guys I like in that range. And Stenson and Garcia. I can definitely understand Grace. I just have a bit more concerns about him than some of those other players. I don't even know if we need to talk about Kuchar, do we? I mean, he's kind of.
I'm just about to say. I mean, we've been riding him for about a month. Listen, I actually realized Day isn't the only person in all those stats. If you look, Matt Kuchar is, if you include, I got rid of it. No, it's 9 stats. Yeah, Matt Kuchar is 8 of 9 as well in all those categories, and he just misses. He's like 6 outside of strokes gained approach, but I mean he's doing everything right now. I mean, par 4 scoring, he's averaging a little over 1/10 of a stroke less than the fields around him. He's doing everything right now for 8,500. I'm surprised the price is that low. I mean, he's scrambling. I mean, he's doing everything better than everyone, except winning.
Now, and again, I mean, we're getting to the price where you don't need Matt Kuchar to win. I mean, you just need him to top 10. And at 8,500, I think he's got even just top 20 is going to be big this week. So he's just going to grind out good scores. I mean, that's all you can hope for this week. You're not going to get a bunch of birdies. So, the one thing for GPPs is Matt Kuchar is going to be probably, I don't want to say maybe he will be the highest owned player. I don't know. He'll be one of the highest owned, probably in the top 3. So someone you could fade for GPPs. Cash games, he's like automatic for me, I think. Yeah.
So I got in front of me. I'll just go over this. If I was going to tell you, career 12.5 stimp and above, what would you want to see? Finish position, strokes gained putting. I can just give you some notables that are up in the top of the list there. For strokes gained, Luke Donald, which I've heard the otherwise in some reports he doesn't do well on fast greens. He's in 66 starts on courses that are 12.5 stimp or higher. He's 4th in this field, 2.788 strokes gained putting. Below him is Brandt Snedeker. Right below him is Brooks Koepka. Obviously, Brooks Koepka's only in 17 starts, so it's a little smaller sample size. And then the next really noticeable name is Matt Kuchar at 63. But a couple of names I could spread in there: Jamie Donaldson, Chris Wood, KT Kim, only 10 starts. He's averaging 10.2 points, DraftKings points against the field more on those types of greens. Strokes gained of 4.934. I know that his issue is always ball striking. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I got a couple of these things up there. I mean, if you want to reverse it and say who's losing the most strokes, just to kind of throw it out there, that are some interesting names. I think everyone in the world knows Byung-Hyun Ahn can't putt for anything. Jason Duffner, bottom of the barrel on the fastest greens. Ernie Els, Rio, Kaufman. Any really big names? Unfortunately, Grace is like 30th worst, but that doesn't help me. But yeah, I mean, listen, all the guys that you know can strike the ball that can't putt are not getting any better by the faster greens. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's usually the way it goes. That's why they don't win all the time, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's interesting, Kepka. I'm not actually shocked to hear that. I know he played well at Pinehurst a few years ago. He handled those greens really well. His short game is very underrated. Like it kind of comes and goes, but I won't be shocked if Brooks Koepka's. I wouldn't even be shocked if Brooks Koepka won this week, to be honest. I don't know how popular he'll be, but I don't think he's going to be popular enough for me to fade him in GPPs. So, and Snedeker's another guy who putts really well in fast greens. I'm not shocked to hear that.
So I think this is probably, I mean, listen, as someone who focuses on stats as much as I do, I know that there are issues with this next statement, but I'm just going to put it out there. If you just rank it by finish position, so guys that have their best finishes or average finish positioning in their career on 12.5 or above, you got John Rahm with 1 start, finished 5th, so you got to take him out. But then you got Hideki Matsuyama is actually 2nd. He's on 27 events. His average finish position is 23.3. But then it's like a who's who. It's Jim Furyk, Matt Kuchar, Rory McIlroy, Justin Rose, Tiger Woods, who's not playing, Spieth, Mickelson, ZJ, Garcia, Stenson, Scott, Day. So I mean, yeah, I mean this is over their career, so you know those numbers are high. But I think Matsuyama popping up there as the top of those names is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and sorry, and that was for fast greens, right?
12.5 stimper above.
Or above, yeah. And I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, one thing I did kind of look at the leaderboard from 2007 was who played well at Augusta, who had a good Augusta record, who played well at Augusta that year. And there was surprisingly a lot of guys who played well at Augusta in that same year. So Matsuyama's handled faster greens at Augusta before. I worry a bit if he's going to start. I guess you worry more with Matsuyama, like you said, strokes gained around the green. That's more scrambling. Putting, if he hits the greens, I mean, maybe it happens. He's definitely shown that he can compete in these fields. So
I got a number for you that I think you're gonna like. So with at least, I mean, there's kind of some small sample size. With at least, call it 25 starts in their career on fast greens, and this is the scoring zone. Ricky Fowler is hitting 25% of putts between 15 and 20 feet over 59 events, which I think is pretty outstanding. I mean, 15 to 20, that's not 5 to 10, 10 to 15. 15 to 20 are beast putts, and that's actually one of the categories that we saw popping up leading into the last time they played here. So, a lot of the guys that are above him that are like 30%, they've only done it, they're like 3 starts, 6 starts, and then he's the first person with significant starts that is making. I mean, not only that, he's 36.4% from 10 to 15. And that puts him, again, if they have 20 or less starts, then I don't really look at it. But I mean, he's got 59 starts in these conditions. Hell, he's making 6.6% greater than 25%. I think that range normally is like 2% when they pop up that thing in the top corner of the window. So he definitely likes his fast greens.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me at all because I feel like, and this is more of me just being a subjective take, but to me, Ricky Fowler's putting stroke is like, it's beautiful to watch. It's like the most fluid stroke you probably see on tour, but it's made for fast greens because it's all about feel. It's just all about he takes big strokes, like he's kind of fearless with it too. So he's one of the guys I could actually see sinking some of these putts with regularity this week. And if he does, that's why I like it too. So that's really interesting stat, man. By the way, I mean, thanks for putting all these out. These are extremely useful because the fast green stuff I think is a big factor this week. I think having guys like knowing like guys like Matsuyama and Koepka have got it done before. I think that makes them a little bit more interesting plays and because I mean for me, especially in that range like Matsuyama's range. I mean, I kind of went through it. I think that might even differentiate him for me over someone like Scott or Rose. So I mean, that's great info for sure.
I think you're gonna have me up my Ricky ownership a little more than I have before, just based on your conversation and looking into this a little bit. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's more of a fit thing, and I know the form's not there, but I do feel like this. The more that I've looked at this event, it's looking like a good fit. So, but. Yeah, I mean, okay, so Koepka's another guy that's really interesting. I'm not shocked to hear that because I always felt like Koepka's putting and short game doesn't get talked about enough. But yeah, let's keep rolling down here. And if you guys have any specific player questions, throw them out too. We'll keep mowing down here the list.
Yeah, I mean, check on that. Cause I just want to get to the one guy asked about the differential between finishing position on all, like, for everything, and then just on faster greens. So I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
I almost have that done. So just give me a second.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go over a few more names here. I mean, like for me, I think Martin Keimer is a really interesting play at 7,600. Again, not a guy I'm hearing a ton about. I don't think you're gonna. I think for GPPs, a guy like Keimer is going to be able to handle this course so much better than some of these less experienced players. That's something else just to throw out here too. I know that the average finishing age of the players from Oakmont in 2007 was 34.1. So it's the players in the top 20. You know, to me, I want to target players like Martin Keimer with experience. Obviously, he's won on a fast US Open course before. He's so good and he played. And the other thing, one other event to kind of take note of is the Spanish Open this year was played at Valderrama, and I think the winning score was like +3. It was really tough. And Martin Keimer was T6 there. Sergio Garcia was like T3 there too. I think that's a really good event to kind of look at this year. But yeah, Martin Keimer is looking like he's in form. And at 7,600 on a course where you just grind out pars, like I think Keimer's a great play. I've heard people talk about Russell Knox. I've heard people even talk about Jim Furyk. Russell Knox, to me, maybe just a little bit too inexperienced. I like his game, but I take Keimer over both those guys personally. And I don't mind Lee Westwood either, for sure.
I'll definitely have some Keimer. I'm going to have Knox before I have Furyk, though. That I can tell you.
Yeah, and I'm on board with that. I'm not on Jim Furyk this week. The dude's 47, coming off a major injury. I'm sure he'll get back to some level of consistency, but I'm fine waiting for it to happen before I get on him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So I have who's got the most? All right. So and let's also include starts, just so I can have that to look at. Okay. So players with significant amount of starts that have a much better variation career-wise. Love to see that because he's my. I don't know if I'm called sleeper or not, but all right. Kevin Tway in 28 starts on. Yeah, I mean his average finish position all time is 91. When we do average finish position, we include how they finished before the cut. So if they're 130th, you know, he's 72.5 on faster greens. So that's 18.5. You know, listen, neither are that inspiring. Justin Hicks, I mean, I can't listen. It feels like a Ken Duke story, but in 97 starts, his average finish position is 75.1 on fast greens. It's 58.4. So
interesting.
And then I'm gonna break it now since I'm doing it with the putting. One of my sleeper guys this week, and I'll hold for your comments afterwards, is Billy Horschel. He is 11.4 spots better on fast greens, from 52.1 to 40.7. Do you have any thoughts on Horschel this week?
Yeah, I mean, I generally don't love to play Billy Horschel, but I mean, even I think he's looks like a pretty good play this week. And he can get it done off the tee too. Like he's not super long, but he's not super inaccurate either. So like total driving, he's usually pretty good in that area. You add that to he's generally pretty solid on fast greens, like you said. I mean, he's got a really solid U.S. Open record. I can't find anything wrong with him, and I usually try and find something wrong about Billy Horschel, so I don't have to watch what he's wearing, like pink neon pants on Sunday. But no, man, I mean, I like Mark Leishman at this price, but I actually think that the better play might be Billy Horschel, to be honest. I think some people are talking about Matthew Fitzpatrick. Again, I'd rather go with experience this week. I'd rather go with like Billy Ho. Or maybe Leishman. I might even rather go with Jimmy Walker, to be honest, but we can talk about him in a sec. I think that's great info about Hicks and Tway. Kevin Tway, just so people know, is a pretty talented young player. Hasn't made his way to tour yet, but is someone you might hear from in the future. This could be a really interesting spot for him to kind of have a big finish. one of those young guys who might pop up. So if you're looking for like a stars and scrubs guy, no one is going to use Kevin Tway. With those stats he just gave us, I think he's really good for GPPs.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot less starts on the faster greens, as does Justin Hicks, but yeah, it's definitely considerable difference there. I mean, other guys, I mean, Fitzpatrick, as you mentioned, again, I am not on him experience-wise. Obviously, he just won 2 weeks ago, so that's exciting. But, I mean, he's got 11 starts career, 5 of them on fast greens, and his average finish position on the faster ones is 38.2 compared to 49.3, so a pretty solid thing there. Another interesting guy, I know everyone wants to like, he's come back a little bit the last month or so. Robert Streb is pretty, he's 43.1 on fast and 54.1 overall. So Stenson's another guy that with a really strong spread there. So just, I mean, again, this is the first time I'm looking at this. I literally am putting this together. That's why I'm not participating in the chat as much as I'm just trying to get this out there.
No, that's all right. No, this is good info. I mean, keep spreading out. I mean, I'm not shocked to hear that on Stenson either. I mean, I know like 2013, Oak Hill when Duffner won, he was right in the mix. Pinehurst again, he putted well on those greens. Those are both fast greens. So, like I said, Stenson to me is like no one's talking about him. I don't think he's going to be highly owned. I just plug him into every lineup. It's like in a par fest. I mean, Henrik Stenson. Give me all the Henrik Stenson. So
I saw that chat notification pop up. I don't hate Webb for GPA.
Yeah, Webb is. Webb Simpson. God, I hate Webb Simpson so much.
I don't want.
I just hate him for DFS.
I know.
He's a guy who does hit a lot of greens, though. And again, I like that this week. Like, I really do. So, I think for GPPs more, I don't think Webb Simpson is going to contend, personally. I think you'll see him more, but I do think he's the kind of guy who'll have a good shot at making the cut. Chappell, boy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. He's not great around the greens. Boy, Chappell's tough. I haven't thought about him much this week, to be honest. Over Webb Simpson, he's played so well. It's tough with Chappell because he's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Like the tee to green game is usually there, but some weeks it's not. And then if it's not, he's got no short game. So
I mean, if he wasn't, such a focus the last few weeks, then he's a viable GPP play. But like people that have been playing leading up to this, like they're aware that he's playing fairly decent. So I don't think this is the time to try and feel that you're going to get sneaky with him. That's my only thing. Yeah,
that's a good point. To be honest, I think you're right. I look at Graham McDowell at that price range, and I almost just want to take Graham McDowell. I mean, I know the form isn't great or anything like that, but again, we're talking about a guy with a good putter, good around the greens. Talking about a par fest, so.
That's why I'm back at Horschel. I mean, I feel like Horschel is much more quiet. In how well he's been playing. And if you look at the numbers, they're not too far different in terms of like straight raw stats and how they've been performing. So that's another.
I mean, Horschel is a guy I expect to be able to handle the greens a bit better too. So I think Chappell has upside. Like I really think Chappell and Horschel's upside is probably the same this week. I just feel like Horschel's floor is so much better. I think the number of times Horschel is gonna outperform Chappell is more. So
let's think about Horschel. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that you talk about, like I know you say Chris Kirk, more of a form player, gets on hot streaks, but the guy won a FedEx Cup, like on big stage. He's gotten it done on big stages. I'm not saying he's a career FedEx Cup contender, but there's no doubt that when he gets in the moment, it's not going to phase him. Whereas Chappell, if Chappell's in the final group on Sunday at Oakmont, I mean, like.
Book the third place finish or whatever. Yeah, probably.
Who do you take? You take Chappell. Chappell and Horschel in the first in the last group. Who you betting on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obviously, you take Billy Ho all day. I mean. Yeah. But I think those are good thoughts. I mean, I think Horschel is definitely like a viable cash play this week. I think like I said, I like Mark Leishman. I think Leishman's game around the green is really going to be helpful this week. The strokes gained tee to green is kind of hit or miss with him. He can get a little wild. He kind of reminds me of like a cheaper version of Brandon Grace this week, to be honest. You might get a big performance out of him. You might see him struggle if his approaches get offline. I think Billy Horschel's the better cash game play. I think Leishman's maybe the better GPP play. But yeah, definitely like Mark Leishman this week. I like Mark Leishman every week, but I definitely like the price on him. What about JB Holmes? I'm definitely in on JB Holmes, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Let's see what I got.
See if you got anything for us. If not,
no, I just have to pop back out. I mean, why don't I see it? Oh no, okay, there it is. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's if we're going to stay with the 9 stats instead of 6, he's in the top 30 in the field in 7 out of 9 of them. The only one he's not in, the 2 that he's not is strokes gain approach, which doesn't concern me as much this week, but the driving accuracy is still, I mean, his total off the tee gained is so big because of the distance, but I think that kind of hurts a little bit. I mean, if he does club down, and he can kind of find that groove. I don't know if that's ever been something he's had success with, but he's also scrambling in the top 30 R data. So again, he kind of has the same. He's like based on the key stats that I'm looking at, right? He's like a poor man's Jason Day, which is sounds ridiculous, but that's why poor man's. But he's pretty much in the same category of hitting all the boxes, just a little less.
Yeah. That's why I like him. I mean, he's been playing really well. I don't think people realize how well he's actually played. The scrambling has been way better. Obviously, he's got distance, but he's showing up at these courses like T4 at Augusta, like T4 at Memorial. I mean, these are tricky courses too. So, again, we discussed driving accuracy. I don't think driving accuracy isn't important this week, but when you look back at 2007, you see Angel Cabrera hit 48% of fairways. You don't necessarily need to hit the fairway every time. You just need to be not crazy inaccurate, if that makes sense. You need to just stay out of the thick rough. You need to be able to either hack it out strong enough when you do hit the rough, and just not make major misses on your way to the green. And JB Holmes is a guy who can hit a lot of greens if he's on. So, yeah, I think that's really interesting, those stats. I mean, I'm not shocked to hear it because, again, he's been playing better in almost every facet this year. He just doesn't have the win. If he had a win on the year, he'd be 9,400. But he doesn't, so it's 74.
One of the I can't normally I actually would have the numbers on this, but I don't. It seems to me from the video and the content, maybe that's just because it's more available, that the rough is longer this time around than it was last time around. Partially to make up for less trees. I mean, you've probably seen some of the same content that I've seen. The rough is just.
It's ridiculous.
It is. It's not. I mean, you better have extra markers out there because you can't see these balls anywhere. And again, back then you didn't have as much high def, you didn't have as much coverage. Maybe it's just as thick, but for some reason I don't remember it being as thick as it is this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's exactly. It's kind of like a we'll see thing. It is graded rough now, which means it's like it gets thicker as you go. But once you hit the thick stuff, you're dead. So it could be more of a factor. You could be right. It could be like if you're off, you're dead. So
I think the first year they did that was I want to say Winged Foot.
It was Winged Foot, yeah. When Phil.
Which is the year before, so they obviously had the graduated at Oakmont, so it's
Oh, that's true. That's true. They did. Yeah, they did have the graduated at Oakmont.
What else here? I gotta say it. Big event, Chris Wood. I mean, if we're gonna start talking about guys in that range, even though I don't think I'm gonna have too much exposure in many lineups to low end guys. I mean, I'm probably gonna try and keep myself to 1, maybe 2 guys in 1 or 2 lineups under 7. But I mean. Let's have a conversation about those guys under 7,000 because I don't have anyone truly exciting me. One thing I said earlier was this might be the highest owned I've ever seen anyone under 7,000, and Retief Goosen, right? Like, I mean, at 6,300, it's like how can you afford to play anyone else under 6,500 based on the numbers? Because no one compares on paper to him in that price point.
Yeah, numbers wise, under 6,500, I agree. I will throw out one name who I think is a better play.
Yeah, go ahead.
Soren Yeltsin I think, is going to have a very, very good week.
So
Um,
that's interesting because I've definitely checked on it. He's obviously a phenomenal driver of the ball. I've heard one or two people talk about him. I haven't looked into him enough, but he's one of the guys kind of on my list of make sure you give this guy a look. So I'm glad you said that. It gives me a little more reason to do it.
yeah, again, I mean, T4 at Valderrama, tough course. T7 at Augusta. Pretty straight driver of the ball too. Good scrambler. He's like 20th on Euro Tour in scrambling. He just plays tough course as well. Like it's weird, but I really like his game. I like the experience. Again, Retief Goosen is a great play. I think people know that, but again, definitely the guy's hitting on all cylinders. We know about his record at the U.S. Open. I like Soren Yeltsin pretty much as him, though. I think he's got just as much upside. The guy just competes well, and again, like in a race to par or like a race to like +5, he'll keep it around. Like he'll keep it around par. So those are the two guys I really have checked off as like kind of no-brainers to me. Maybe Yeltsin is as much a no-brainer just in name-wise, but I really like him this week. I see people talking about Lucas Glover. I don't hate it at all either. I love guys who hit lots of greens in regulations, so got to include Lucas Glover too in the conversation.
Right. We want a couple just kind of food for thought stats.
Yeah, for sure.
2 players with 100% cuts made in U.S. Opens with at least 5 starts. You got Jason Day, and you got your favorite DFS player, Webb Simpson. With at least 4 starts, our boy Kevin Chappell, who we were just talking about. So kind of interesting there. Other than that, I mean, in terms of just always making the cut, you got Matsuyama at 3 of 3. And that's it. I mean, if you're going to go down to 2 starts, then like who cares? But like guys that have never missed a cut in the opener, that's the kind of the small handful you got there. I mean, you get a lot of guys that are like 7 of 8, 8 of 9, 9 of 10. But in terms of being perfect, you got Day and Webb Simpson, and I guess Chappell in 4 starts, 4 for 4. So
yeah, Lee Westwood is 13 for 16. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen, Phil Mickelson's 9 of 10. Furyk's 8 of 10. Your boy Sturgio is 8 of 10. Yeah, I mean, Lee Westwood, I have his 8 of 9 because we're only looking at last 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's there. So, Harris English Love, I didn't mention him. That was coming from the chat there. He showed up on like just under the list of guys when I was talking about the fast putting. So I will bring that up since someone mentioned it. I have a little bit of love for English. I'm not obsessed, but you know.
I don't really have any. What's Harris English's best finish in a major? Like seriously, I hate to just be like, show me. I mean, it's true. I mean, I just don't ever remember him ever competing in an event like this. He's so streaky. Like it's just he does have a nice game. Again, another guy who I feel like can get a little loose with his approaches, and I just don't like it at Oakmont. Like maybe at like a little easier PGA Championship course, I'd consider him, but I don't like him this week. I'd rather go with a guy who's going to grind pars. Like I think Bernd Wiesberger is a better play at 6,700. I think Jamie Donaldson, who you brought up, is a good fast green putter. I might even have to take another look at Luke Donald too after you brought up that stat.
What are your thoughts on Grillo? One of the guys in the chat was asking about him.
Yeah, I'd rather go with Cabrera Bello.
Okay.
I get the driving accuracy with Grillo. Again, super talented player. I'm going with more experienced guys this week. I think Cabrera Bello is. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a better statistical profile on him. I know he plays on the Euro so much. We don't have as much info on him, but this guy's a great ball. Yeah, Cabrera Bello. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go over to the.
I just know he's a great ball striker, and he's in great form, and he's played some tough golf courses extremely well over the past year and a half. So I'd just rather have him over Grillo. And again, for me, it's more experience than Bill Haas is kind of interesting at that price too. I think I'd rather have him than Grillo too.
Yeah, I can't argue against that. I mean, the thing with Grillo was, I was interested in him. Obviously, everyone's going to see the driving accuracy, but I did notice, fast putting. I mean, listen, putting's always been a little bit of an issue, but even on the small sample size, the fast putting was a little worse. So I'm probably going to scale back a little bit because I think ownership's going to be slightly higher than it should be because everyone sees how good of a driver he is. And,
yeah, that's Grillo, hey? Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, this is a very talented player. Like, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he made me look stupid again, but he'll have his day. I just at this tournament on this course, I think I'd rather look for guys with a little more experience, a little bit more experience on faster greens. Like Jamie Donaldson's a guy who can grind it out too. So I think for GPPs he's really interesting actually. I don't know what his form is. His form. Yeah, he's played okay. I mean, 10th at the Irish Open, that was a pretty tough course, and then at the FedEx, not a bad result. So definitely don't hate that.
What are your thoughts on Alex Noren?
Oh, he's a good player.
He's been playing decent on the European Tour. He's 4 or 5 cuts. Driving accuracy is 60%, so kind of average, but he gets the ball out there. Mm-hmm. He's averaged 33rd in 5 starts. On the European Tour. I mean, that's not terrible given where you're looking for price and and ownership.
Who'd you rather have, Chris Wood or Alex Noren?
Great question. I'd probably
go with Wood just because of the recent form and again, like Noren. What I was gonna say about Noren is he just doesn't seem to play much over in the States, and he's never had a result here. Again, it doesn't mean he can't have one, but like for me, I'd rather go with a guy. If I'm gonna go with the Euro guy in the U.S. Open, I generally want to see him have done something in the States before. I know that's a little bit maybe just like, small sample sizes we're talking about, but at the same time, the setups are different and stuff like that. The environment's a little different. So, and Chris Wood, for me, is a really good player. I mean, he's pretty accurate off the tee, if I remember correctly, too. So it could set up well for him. He made the cut at Augusta, which is nice. I mean, he's a guy who I believe he grew up with like Danny Willett. He was in the same kind of amateur group. He's a talented player. Like I think for 6,600, he's definitely too cheap this week.
I awkwardly called him a poor man's Danny Willett on Mayo, and I was basically calling it a reverse because I was talking about how Danny Willett is like Danny. Like I feel like both of those guys, and obviously Willett a little more profile now. Both of them, they both just show up in these events. No one knows who they are. And they always play well in the majors. They always play well in the World Golf Championships. And you can just listen. They're not 100% cut makers, but when they play and when they play well, they factor, and that's a big upside for 6,600.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I think for 6,600, he's really good value. Like I said, I could see some of those other guys grinding out good weeks, but Wood might have a bit more upside. So. That definitely makes sense. Chris Kirk was on Twitter saying, it's funny because I know following Chris Kirk, he's tweeted out a couple times like how he doesn't like the U.S. Open. But this year he responded to someone, I can't remember who it was, but he responded to someone and said he loves the setup and he thinks it's really fair test. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, people forget this guy's been in good form, strokes gained tee to green and stuff the past month or so. I know he's missed a couple cuts, but.
Hold on, let me check. Is there any chance that was me? Because I didn't look all day, and I saw someone make that post about Kirk and his 2 comments, and then I said, I tweeted at Kirk like, "Hey, what do you got for us this year?" So.
Oh, that probably was you.
I don't know if that's funny. I just didn't see it because I was pretty busy. But no, I mean I think I would have noticed that. No, I don't see it, but I'm sure the same. I'm sure everyone's kind of on him, but hey, that's good. I mean, listen, he was the next guy I was going to ask about since he was someone that you and I for the last month have been tracking and saying, hey, maybe it's time. Yeah. Listen, he's made 3 or 4 cuts in his last 4 U.S. Opens, so he's not. Maybe he hasn't contended, but I will take 6 of 6. 30th place guys this week, and I'll cash everywhere. Like
absolutely, yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it.
With 100 fantasy points.
Oh, yeah, another interesting question. I was talking to my brother today, and he asked me, what do I think the winning score will be in the Millie Maker?
Yeah.
And I said it wouldn't surprise me if it was around 300, and I'm guessing it's not going to be any more than like 350, 360.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need 6 guys at 60, considering the winner is probably going to be like 80. I mean, it's going to be in the low threes, I think.
Yeah, I think low threes. It might even be under 350. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
5 of 6 probably going to have a really good chance of winning in the $300 contest.
Yeah. Yeah, if you nail the right 4, like if you get, let's put it this way, if you get 5 of 6 through and you get 4 guys in the top 15 plus the winner, I think you'll have a great shot at it. I think that would have a fantastic shot at winning the 300.
No, I mean, listen, twice this year, 5 of 6 won the 300. So this is the type of event I would expect it to happen if it happens.
You could, I mean, to take that even a step further, if you nailed 4 guys and they all finished in the top 10 and you had the winner, that could win this week, literally. I mean, especially if the conditions get worse on the weekend or something, like,
You go 4 of 6 top 10, obviously top 5, like, and it's possible.
Oh, and what about this scenario? What about if one of your guys who missed the cut makes like an eagle or something?
Or a hole in one.
Or like a hole in one. Then you're money. Then you want them to miss the cut. So lots of interesting scenarios this week.
If you think about it, I mean, just in terms of cashing, if you picked a first, second, and third place player because of the bonus points, and only had those 3, you're cashing everywhere.
Absolutely. Oh.
You're gonna get 80. You're gonna get 80, 70, and 60. That's gonna give you 210 points. Like when winner is gonna be low 3s, like you're gonna cash everywhere if you pick first, second, and third place and nothing else. So kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the type of week it's gonna be, anyways, folks. So.
Yeah.
So. Do you think there's a possibility that a player makes a cut will finish with negative points? I don't think there's a possibility. I know it's going to happen.
What was the question?
Yeah, there was a question there.
Oh, do you think there's a chance that there's a player that makes the cut to finish? Oh yeah, I mean in 2007 I was talking to Moose about this.
Yeah.
There were I think 5 players or 7 players that were negative. All of them were like scrubs, and Ryan Palmer finished with negative 0.5.
Yeah.
He was the only like notable player, but there are negative points in these events.
Yeah, it'll happen this week. It'll likely happen. We obviously I don't know the course, so I don't know exactly how the course is going to play out. We're just obviously expecting it to play a certain way. So if that holds up, then it'll happen. So you mentioned Streb down there. Is there anyone else like kind of lower you like for just like a random GPP guy or like a good Millie Maker play?
Let's go deep. Let me sort everything by under 6,500 and see what pops up. We'll kind of close at 6,500. I mean, I think everyone's obvious play under 6 based on form is Wilkinson.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel. I mean, I think if I'm gonna go that low, I'm gonna go fairly deep and try and score. Like I'm not expecting one of these guys to like save a day for me.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try and do it where I get a ton of value up top. I mean, Hicks might be a guy, like I said, that I do it with. I mean, when I go that deep, I like to go with guys that are, that have had success. I mean, Jeff Ogilvy's made 6 of 10 cuts here. Obviously, 1 in 06. 4 of 7 cuts recently at 6,400. Not terrible.
Yeah.
Let's see who else. Let's go deeper. If I go under 6, I mean Wilkinson's obviously first. I mean, I have no idea why he's showing up. He had 1 decent start in the Open. That's why. Denny McCarthy. Couldn't tell you anything about him. He had 1 okay start in the U.S. Open back in. Benny McCarthy finished 42nd last year. So that's, I mean, you're really digging when you get down here because the field is so big that they have to do it. So
yeah. Yeah, I feel like I already mentioned Kevin Tway. I think if you're going like stars
Yeah.
and scrubs, again, just a good young player who hasn't quite made the PGA yet, but for 1 week, he has the talent to get like a top 30 in an event like this. So I know it sounds a little crazy, but he really does. For me, anyways.
I mean, listen, Onel's made 5 of 7 cuts recently. I
Manuel
mean,
Cabrera, yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good point.
not like he's tearing anything up. He's only averaging 44.6 DraftKings points over those starts, but he's a guy that he's making cuts.
And he's big game Angel, right? I mean, he doesn't give a shit about the Demon DeLuca Invitational. I mean, his best finish on the year is the Masters, right? So I mean,
exactly.
There you go. That's kind of interesting. I never even thought about him, but Gary Stahl's coming up. Gary Stahl's kind of like a guy who's kind of like a up and down career over in Europe. He's coming off a really good finish. Hits it pretty big from what I remember. But he's got some talent. And then Gregory Bordery, actually both these guys are French. He's been in really good form, like over in Europe. So
yeah, I'm just popping over to that. That's the one.
Stahl and Bordy are kind of interesting. I definitely target. I think I really like targeting Euros in the U.S. Open because no one uses them. Like even last year, like Louis Oosthuizen and Brandon Grace were like 5% owned. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Bordy, I mean, in 7 starts over the last 12 weeks, he's made the cut 6 times, averaging 69.1 DraftKings points, average finish position of 36. That's factoring in a missed cut. I mean, his driving, he's 68.9%. That puts him of players on the Euro Tour. That puts him 9th.
Yeah, that'll be high. Yeah.
Only one other person that has multiple events is higher than him, Lee Slattery. And that's just barely. So, I mean, Bird, he's not a terribly long driver of the ball, but I don't think anyone will be this week.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree. I definitely think like the course might even suit him. Then is what I was going to say. So that's interesting.
And he's putting well. I mean, he's in the top end. I mean, obviously, you probably looked over at the Euro site. And how they look at their stats, but he's at 1.75 putts per green in regulation for guys on the European Tour with multiple events. That puts him 5th. So that's someone I'm definitely gonna have a little bit of.
Yeah, I'd really like him for the Millie Maker. I think that's a guy who can he's played some tough courses over in Europe. I mean, it's not like like the European Tour isn't like necessarily in minor leagues necessarily, like top 20 of Valderrama. So I like him at 6,300. I mean, again, Goosen is a good play. We're talking about guys who might want to swerve off him or use with Goosen and do like major stars and scrubs, right? So, I think Bordy is someone you can take note of for sure.
I think Goosen is going to be more of a probably going to have him more in cash. I mean, do you think there's a chance that Goosen is 18% owned?
I think he could. Actually, I do. I do think.
Isn't that crazy? Like, is that like not like I say it and you're like, I think everyone's initial reaction is like you're crazy, and then you think about it for a second, it's like.
Yeah. Who else are they gonna play down there?
Yeah. Who are you
and when
play?
I say they, I just mean like, random people who are just gonna throw in a lineup or two because they're gonna click down there and they're gonna see. I don't want to play Gary Stahl. I don't know who that is. Romain Wattel. Who's this Bordy guy? Oh, Retief Goosen. Click on his card. Oh, he's made all his cuts. Oh, he's won the U.S. Open. Boom.
He'll probably be like 14, 15, but it wouldn't surprise me if he creeps close to that 20 number.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have people touting him throughout the week too, right? So, it's. I think he's gonna be fairly chalky. I think 18 is actually now that I really consider this thing, it's actually a really good guess.
That was
we'll have to look.
Yeah, I mean earlier I think in the week when I said it today, I mean it was.
It sounds silly. You're right when you first say it, but then you start looking at it, and you're like, yeah, actually.
I can only look this up about a year's worth of how we've been tracking the data, but I think he's going to be the highest owned player under 6,500 ever.
Yeah, could be. That makes sense because there's usually not like super chalky guys. Yeah.
So.
Someone just said he was 26%
26 in the hybrid. Yeah. No, I mean he was even more so. I think he was like 35 to 40 in the double up that I was in. It was stupid, but I mean it made sense. It paid everything.
Yeah, it absolutely made sense. I mean, yeah, he was. Yeah, 'cause what did he finish last week? He was like, just another top 20, just another T20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how owned Tim Wilkinson will be. I mean, it's in a lot of the ways he's kind of just as good value as Goosen, just because he's so cheap. But people don't know him as well, so you probably won't see him crack 18. If people start talking about him a lot, maybe he gets like 10 or 12. But I don't think he's going to be high enough for me to fade. So if you like him at that price, I think that's fine. But yeah, I mean, Justin Hicks is kind of interesting after you mentioned the putting and stuff, but definitely a solid ball striker. But yeah, I mean, for me, lineup construction this week, I'm kind of going to be the same way. I'm not going to try and drift down too much. I think balance is a bit better. I just want as many guys with those high finishing positions as possible. If I can get 3 or 4 guys in the top 10, I'm golden. I know I'm golden, regardless of who makes the cut. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
So obviously, we're getting past time here, but who give me let's do one of those kind of cliche. Who's your favorite to win? Who's your contender? Who's your dark horse?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the favorite is Jason Day. I mean, I think people can, they like Dustin Johnson for the story and stuff like that, and other people maybe like coming in with good form, but. I mean, I just feel like sometimes we get too much into this and we just forget how well Jason Day has played over the past, 6 months. And he's the clear number 1 pick. I mean, I've talked up a lot of people this week, but it's still, for me, if Jason Day is going to at least compete this week, it'd be, a massive shock. So that being said, it's a U.S. Open. It's a really tough course. Maybe he doesn't win, but he'd still be my pick to win. As far as, guys I think will contend, or I think Sergio is going to have a good week. I think people don't realize how good a form he's kind of been trending towards. I just like his mindset these days too, like I was kind of mentioning. And then for me, a dark horse to win is definitely Fowler. So we talked about him quite a bit off the top, but yeah, I definitely think Day's the most likely winner.
Yeah, I mean, just to be give the guys some variety, because I kind of agree with you on Day. I'll go with Rory. I'll give you that. I like Reed. As kind of like the higher end player that I think can win. And I already mentioned my love for Horschel as the dark horse guy. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think you guys got a good idea of who probably both you and I are going to be building some lineups around. I think this is a pretty good discussion on everything.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, someone's just asking me if they think Jason Duffner can win this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that. So listen, I mean, yeah, and you mentioned the Oak Hill. I mean, listen, if I could go out to a major and hit it to 3 feet every hole,
every hole, literally. That was an amazing performance.
I don't see that being the case. I see him having to make some putts here, and that's just not, as I said, the fast putting. He was one of the guys. He was one of the high-end names that was on the inverse of the solid putting on fast green. So.
Yeah. For me, the accuracy off the tee with Duffner will help, but he's a guy who you can just. I picture, actually, now that I think about it, I picture Jason Duffner just putting it, watching it roll back to his feet, and just having that sad face on his a couple times this week. It's probably gonna happen with multiple players. But with Jason Duffner, I just picture it in my head right now, so it'll probably happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't hate Duffner. The ball striking's there. I mean, listen, I expect Duffner to make the cut. I just don't expect him to win. So if that helps, I mean, at 7,200. You can definitely build him in some cash lineups. He's having as good a year as he's had outside of winning a major. Statistically, he's right there. I just, there's a difference between making the cut and contending. I mean, he's not someone that I'm saying don't play because he's not going to play well. I don't know that he's going to be the one holding up the cup. But he'd be halfway to the career slam, which would kind of be exciting. I like narratives, so I'll root for it.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to like root against Jason Dufner or anything. But has he ever competed at a U.S. Open? I don't think he has, but like really like been in the mix, or I don't remember him ever. But
I'll tell you real quick before we go. Not. I mean, he's got two. Actually, he has contended a decent amount. 18th last year. Missed the cut on the number, it looks like, in 2014. Then he had back-to-back top fives in 2012 and 2013, two of his better years. I mean, his average finish position is 40.6. So he's got two top 10s and a top 20, I mean, in the last 4 years. So, you know what? I'll give a little extra check mark to Dufner, but I still don't think he's going to win.
Yeah, I still don't love him. Mainly just the greens. I think everything else, the course actually kind of sets up well for him. If I just knew that the greens weren't quite as severe as they are, I would give him a chance to win. I'm kind of like you. I mean, I'll expect him to make the cut. Like I said, it just might be one or too many double bogeys from that. Oh yeah, he competed at Olympic, which is again, it's kind
more
of
like
similar.
Oak Hill.
Oh yeah, no, he won at Oak Hill, but I'm just saying the U.S. Open.
It's like Oak Hill, I'm saying.
Oh yeah, it's like Oak. It is. That's actually just what I was going to say. It is like Oak Hill. It's got that thicker rough and yeah. So that's I don't think that's really what you'll necessarily see this week. So yeah, it makes sense.
So,
all right.
I think that's
Anything
it.
else? Okay. All right. Have a good U.S. Open, guys, and yeah, like if you have any other questions, you can hit me up on Twitter. It's at the Fantasy Grind. You can hit Steve up at Fantasy Golf Metrics at FG Metrics. Is that right?
Yep.
At FG Metrics.
Bobby's is _BD.
Bobby's _BD. Okay. Cool.
We'll definitely be periscoping while we're out there. I mean, we head out for Friday at 4 a.m. heading straight to the course, so you'll get a lot of content,
Nice.
a lot of footage. So we'll see you guys.
So yeah, make sure you follow them for the updates this week too. Sweet. All right. Have a good
night.
one.
Good luck.
See ya.